Hello, what's going on YouTube? This is J Money here, and I'm bringing you guys a discussion video. Now, I really wanted to post a combo video today, but there's something I really need to get off my chest, and that is exactly why I do not play the predaplant engine in any capacity in this deck. Now, I will say that I don't dislike the predaplant engine. I absolutely love, and adore the predaplant engine for all that it can do and everything. But there's just a few problems, and that's something I like to lay out, If you look at this deck, you have mind controls, you have chickens, you have Desrudo, you have dragon shrines, and you have double summons. The double summons are new, but, when I build a deck, I want to be sure that although the deck you prefer to go first, you're not going to always win the dice roll. That is my gripe with a lot of decks. I want to be sure that I can go second as well and break some boards, because disruptions are a thing. They're going to be they're always going to be a thing, a real threat in everything, under the sun. Now, with that being said, why don't I like the predaplant engine in application? Again, I love the engine to death, but there are a couple of things that, and to be honest, I was playing the predaplant engine when Extreme Force came out, because, we saw Firewall Dragon in multiples, and I was able to hand loop even then, before maintenance, because Firewall Dragon was at multiple copies, and as long as you had a firewall and you fixed your hand and you got your factory and you got all these draws, and I'll explain, what I mean by those said draws. You were gonna get the handle, you were gonna end up getting in there. But anyway, what is the first problem as to why I'm choosing not to play predaplant engine? And that is deck space. Deck space. This is a 42 card deck. I wanted to keep this as close to 40 as possible, but I found that I couldn't take out any of these cards because each one of them served a purpose. Each one of them was just really important, and each one of these cards you want to see, except really the hunter. You don't want to see the hunter. You just want to, you just play 3 because you need to get 3 out of the deck, and it just makes it a lot easier for you. That's why I don't play Wind Up Rabbit. Wind Up Rabbit is arguably not that good in 2018. If you're triggering factory, you're probably losing. But anyway, deck space is a thing, and I want to be able to go second, So, you would think the predaplant engine and everything doesn't take up that much space, so, I'm going to go bare bones engine here. For starters, you do need 3 predaplant Scorpios to get you to your Cobra, right? The Cobra, you play the Cobra obviously to get your 1 copy of Brilliant Fusion. That's already 5 cards. Now with Brilliant Fusion, you need to play Seraphonite, which means you need to play a light target and a Garnet. And as you see, the wind-up deck was never playing any light cards. The deck never had light cards except Wind Up Knight, but that card was absolutely garbage. Now, this also leads to the second problem of the deck. Well, actually, first off, before I get to that, I forgot extra deck space. You need Seraphonite and you need Invoker. That's just 2 extra deck spaces that are already taken up. And for those of you who are experienced with windups, especially in Link format, like, the extra deck space is just so unbelievably tight, to where, like, literally every single card in your extra deck serves a purpose. Like, I'm trying to find space for Baguska, because if Carrier ever comes back, Hunter is not staying in the game, unless, they forget that Hunter's a card and they bring back Carrier to, like, 1 or something. It wouldn't, be the biggest deal in the world, but even then, so, if Carrier comes back, if Carrier comes back and realistically Hunter gets banned, we're going to have to rely more on Baguska, plus the link chains with Tri-Gates and stuff, to really secure a board and all that good stuff. So, again, extra deck space is already really tight. and you know, it's a pain that I have to, you know, that you would have to play these cards. But and before I was playing these before Firewall Dragon got limited, and I wasn't playing it in the sense for the predaplant engine, even though it was a bonus. I was playing the predaplant engine because for me it wasn't that bad, because back in the day, yeah, full power spiral format, or not full power, but just spirals are still a thing. So Ash was running around in multiple copies, but what I always did was, in order to mitigate the risk of my turn just flat out ending because this gets disrupted, I played 3 copies of Marauding Captain and 3 copies of Gallus the Star Beast. That's what it was. The level 3 guide where you reveal from hand, you mill the top card if it's a monster, your opponent takes 200 damage per level, you special summon it, and it's a level 3. But I was playing these because I knew if I was going second, this was guaranteed to get disrupted. Period. You know, disruptions are a thing. That's the one thing you have to realize about this deck. I know you want to go first, and you want to make going first as consistent as possible, but if you lose a die roll, and you take away from your opposites to go second, you're losing the game. You're guaranteed to lose the game. I'm sorry to put it that way, but that's just how it works. And so what I did was I played Marauding Captains in this, so if this got stopped, I can still make Invoker because I wasn't playing Mrs. Radiant. You know, when I summoned Thousand Blades, which even if I was to play with Predaplant Engine now, I wouldn't play Thousand Blades because that's just too much main deck space and be able to keep your main deck down. But I was playing Isolde, Two Tails and the Noble Knights, because it still got me places. It let me search like another Marauding Captain, and I would send, you know, 2 bamboo swords, one being a cursed bamboo and this bamboo sword, to put out a TG Striker. Now TG Striker is just a level 2 tuner. That's a warrior that you can summon from the deck and combo it with your Seraphonite, so you can still make a level 7 Synchro, which is generally going to be your Yazi. I play Yazi in this deck because Yazi is just an amazing card, and it by itself deals with 2 disruptions. 1, from its effect, and 2, if your opponent does not want this Seahorse to resolve, because if that resolves, you're going to win the game, because it's just like Venus, to where it produces 3 monsters, and you can make Link Spider, Link Karibo, go straight into a Skull Deep. You can do so much with this Seahorse if that resolves, so that's why I play this, and that's why I play Chickens and the Shrudos and multiple Dragon Shrines to get to this card, because if I were to just Black Roses and nuke the field, my turn would be over because I wouldn't have any follow-up plays. And that's what I'm trying to get at. That's why I don't like to play this engine, because if it does get disrupted, if it goes off, it's fantastic. But if you lose a dice roll, this is not going off. Like, I mean, if this goes off, like, somewhere along the line, somewhere along the combo, something's going to get disrupted if you go second. And also, you know, the problem is, I want to go to problem number 2 now. You know, problem number 1 is just deck space. This already takes up a lot of deck space, but we're going to go to problem number 2, and that is garnets. This deck already has a few garnets in it as is. These right here, if you open the Hunters, they're garnets. If you open Ibly, it's a garnet. If you open Rescue Ferret and no combo, it's a garnet. If you open this, it's definitely a garnet, but this is actually worth it. There's just a lot of garnets in this deck. Like, even Magician itself is a garnet if you don't have another way to put another wind-up on board to activate an effect. You know, things like Double Summon help with that. That's why I choose to play them at multiple copies, because it also allows me to go second as well if something gets disrupted along the way. So, with this being said, you have quite a few garnets in the deck already, but it's worth it if your combos go through. But now you're adding not 1, not 2, but 3 garnets, because this is also something you do not want to draw. You're adding 3 more garnets, so to where if you draw any of these 3 garnets, the whole engine is dead. You have a bunch of dead cards in deck cards in hand, and all that. So in order to mitigate that, you have to play something like a second Cobra, and a second Garnet, and a second light target, which you would argue, you know, Damage Juggler is, you know, something that's, you know, it's okay because, oh, it adds another light target. You know, you don't want to play 2 of these. It's not that good, but, I mean, but you also just don't want to play this by itself, because then it's just a blank card that doesn't do anything. And so you'd have to play something like a Hat Trigger, but, which again, it's not bad, but like, look at the deck space I already have. Like I'm at a 42 card deck, and I have to find space for these. Not only do I have to take out all of my options of going second, but I have to take out even more pieces that can help extend plays, just to ensure that this can go off without a hitch, not including any potential disruptions on my opponent's end. And so that is that's my gripe with the engine itself, is just the fact that again, I love this engine and what it does, and I love it when it goes off and everything, but the problem is, this is not like Lightsworn, to where if this gets negated, you have follow-up plays with things like Charge of the Light Brigade, or that grass looks greener, or any of that other stuff. You know, you don't have the luxury of those follow-up plays like you do in any Lightsworn or 60 card based deck, because, you know, this deck needs to access this main deck to get itself going. And that is the big problem. And not only that, but again, you're taking up quite a bit of extra deck space that can be used to break boards. You know, Seraphinite, again, it's okay because it does extend your plays. Now, you know, and if you want to make sure that you can still resolve a Brilliant Fusion if this gets disrupted, you can opt to play 3 copies of these, but this also just further increases your deck size, or you have to take out even more flexible combo pieces in the process. Not only that, but since you're playing Invoker, you're likely going to end up playing a copy of Wind Up Warrior just to trigger some more effects, and it's just, you know, you're just slowly but surely just adding more cards into your deck just to make an engine work. And again, I love this engine, but it just takes up way too much deck space, and it is incredibly vulnerable. That is my problem with this engine. It is so ungodly vulnerable, and especially in a deck like Windups, if this gets disrupted, your turn ends right then and there. But that's why I was playing Marauding Captain back at that time, and using Invoker to go into a Zold, because not only does it get me another monster, you know, because it's also a tuner, so you can make Needle Fiber, but we don't have it, obviously. But you can also make Summon Sorceress. We don't have that either. But, you know, the fact that you can still get something, and you can still dump Bamboo Swords, and you can still get your draw 2s, you can still draw cards to potentially break out of the bind you're in, it was worth it. You know, it was worth the, it was worth playing this, because I had other ways to put multiple level 3s on the board to make sure I actually make the Invoker. And so it's like, okay, I don't know, but the problem is this just takes up way too much space, and you want more options to go second. You know, if you want to be as competitively viable as possible, that's what you need. You know, the 2 most important things when it comes to deck building, yes, I do watch Fan of Stuff's channel, and he does make good points. You know, he wants to make his deck as consistent as possible, which I can respect, and it's a good point, because that is the first point of building a good deck. How consistent is your deck? Now, he has it down as the consistency department, but the second part to building a good deck is how consistent can your deck play around disruptions. And that is my main gripe with the predaplant engine, because if I were to play that, I would be losing these, I would be losing these, I would be losing these, these, I would be losing all of it, and I would just completely just fall victim to my opponent every single time I lose the dice roll and all that. And this is a brick, I'm not gonna lie. This taking out half your life points is a pretty big deal, but if you go first and you don't open Monk but you open Magician Shark, you still have a full 5-card hand loop, because, you know, this taking away from a level 3 Shark will make this a level 4, so you can still overlay into a Butterfly and all that stuff. So my options to going second are still pretty limited, and they're not as, you know, they're not as effective as I would like them to be. So I am advocating doing what I do with World Chalice and throw 3 Kaijus and 2 field spells in the deck, possibly throwing these out, throwing out Destrudo and the Seahorse, which would inevitably free up some shrines, so I can probably have space for Forbidden Chalices as well. You know, this accomplishes multiple things. One, I can definitely go second from, you know, most definitely. But then, you know, it gives me just a little bit more spells for Summoner Monk, because a lot of times if you draw Summoner Monk but no spell, yeah. Well, anyway, so that's what I'm thinking about doing. I'm thinking about testing that because Mare is amazing. He's amazing because he gets 3 monsters on the board, and, you know, Yazi itself gets around 2 negates. But I do want to play Bagooska, just in case I'm playing against, like, BA or something. If I'm playing against, like, BA or any other deck that doesn't mind itself being in the grave as I'm hand looping, I want to have an option. Not only that, but, you know, taking out Mares also gives me an excuse to take out not only Yazi, but it, you know, literally the only reason Link Spider's in here is for Mare. There's, like, no other card that allows me to make Link Spider, so it'll free up 2 extra deck spaces for me, and I can play, finally put Bagooska in my main deck, because if I go Monk, and I get stopped somewhere along the line, or if I go Magician's Shark and I get stopped by like an Ash Blossom or something, I can just overlay into a Bagooska and pass, and, you know, my factory will get me another search the next turn off, like maybe a Wind Up Rat or something, and I can still play the game and all that good stuff. So I want to hear from fan of stuff actually on this one in particular, and I want to hear you guys' other opinions, because again, you know, you need to be able to go second in 2018. I love, you know, decks being as consistent as possible, but not at the cost of being just completely helpless if you lose that dice roll, or if you fall to a single copy of Ash Blossom or whatnot, because those are real threats, and those are guaranteed threats, especially if you are trying to enter the competitive scene. Yeah, disruptions are guaranteed, and that is something to think about. You know, you want to be consistent, but you also want to, you know, you also want to win. You also want to break your opponent's board if you don't get your way, and all that good stuff. So let me know what you think, man. I hope I shed some light on as to why I don't play the predaplant package. I used to, but I don't anymore. You know, and I realized that, you know, I just played way too many garnets in the deck. The deck already has a lot of garnets, and the fact that I had to play more just to, you know, than the bare bones, you know, package, you know, just to make sure that package is actually not dead, was a problem for me. And yeah, it just, I don't know. But, you know, again, my main focus is wanting to go second, you know. There's no doubt this deck can go first. So let me know what you guys think, man. This is J Money, and I am signing out.